Hang on. It says you're connecting. So let's give it a second.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay.
So how are you?
Okay.
That didn't sound very convincing.
Okay. Zoom and I, for whatever reason, do not work well together.
Now, is that what you guys are using for the school?
So we use Google Meet for most things, but for like the math classes and our therapy classes, we have to use Zoom. Because it has more features to use.
So far, I'm loving it, but I'm using it in limited quantities and in short periods of time. So so far it's worked for me, but I'll say that in this whole interview, we'll go to crap in a hurry.
Well, it's just like when I first, so I came in here 10 minutes before we were supposed to get on at 1:30. And first of all, my computer didn't want to recognize my keyboard, so it wouldn't take my password. So I had to reboot it. And then it kept flashing that my internet signal was too weak. So I thought, I'm not going to deal with this today. I'm just going to put it on my hotspot. And then it took it forever to connect to my hotspot. So
yeah, that's been a little bit of my concern is, all of these people across the world, not even just in our community or our state or our country, are now connecting for long periods of time, doing some pretty labor intensive stuff on the internet. And I keep waiting for the internet to break.
So I had a presentation for my 10th graders to do that was scheduled the first week that we went live online. And I put it off thinking we would be back the following week. And so they had to give their presentations the other day on Wednesday online. And then one of my girls was doing a beautiful presentation, and all of a sudden her internet went out. And she didn't realize it.
So she kept going.
So she kept going. Luckily, I grew up with her mom, so I had her mom's cell phone number, and I'm texting her mom, like, let her know she's off.
Nice. Well, here's what I thought we'd do. I figure we could do 10, 12, maybe even 15 minutes, and I'll do the introduction, and then I want to first talk about you as a teacher and how that's been trying to figure out and navigate your way through dealing with students. And then we'll kind of switch gears a little bit and talk about you as a mom, because you actually have students in your house who are now learning with other teachers, and you're all trying to get along together and not kill each other. So, all right.
So I wanted to ask you one question.
Yeah.
So I know you're pairing me with Nathan from the Clark County Historical Society.
Yes.
Or Association. I'm actually using one of his videos this coming week in my world history class because we're talking about the Cold War.
And he goes and explores one of those bunkers. He told me about that.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Do you want me to mention that?
You can, because I recorded his interview yesterday. So I already know what we talked about. So it'll be perfect. Oh, see, this was my thought, was because I was struggling. I'm going to be struggling for a while now to find good Monday shows, because I don't want to start off a Monday with guess how many people died over the weekend.
Right.
So I'm trying to find things that are kind of related, but are happy or resourceful or something along those lines. And that's why I thought this would be perfect, because it talks about you and the experience from teaching and from a mom, and then wraps up with Nathan saying, oh, and by the way, we've got these cool things that you can go and do or send your kids to go and do on our website. So I thought, okay, that buys me at least one Monday.
Right. And you can hear me okay. My mic is good?
Yep, okay. I can hear you fine. So, all right. So here we go. Oh, wait a minute. I heard the front door open. So before I start, somebody's about. Oh, no. Oh, look at him. He heard me talking and he closed the front door so that Tim's working outside today.
That was Lonnie.
All right. Hello and welcome to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. We are recording today's show via Zoom on a Sunday afternoon with Carrie Hill. And if that last name sounds familiar, it should, because she is the wife of our very own Lonnie Hill. And that is only half of the reason why I reached out and asked Carrie if she wanted to do the show with me today. She is a teacher at Front Royal Christian School. She is also the mother of three, four if you count Lonnie, and is having to finagle teaching her students while having students in the house who are learning with other kids. So we're going to have a conversation with Carrie today about how all of that is working out. So Carrie, thank you for taking some time out of your Sunday afternoon to Zoom record this conversation with me today.
Well, thank you, Janet. Thank you for inviting me. It's not often I get to be at my husband's job doing things.
Right? You might end up being more famous than him when this is all said and done.
I doubt that.
So first, let's start talking from the teacher perspective. So you are a teacher at Front Royal Christian School. Tell me about Front Royal Christian School before all of this stuff started.
So we are a preschool through 12 Christian private school. We are non-denominational and we are classically based. And what that means is classical education is the great discussion. It is all about, having a discussion, connecting it to the real world, and making it applicable in a Christian life or in your life.
So when did you guys make the conversion? Did you do it before, after, during, when the public school systems were doing it? When did you guys make the decision and move to online learning for your students?
So we actually took off March the 16th. So as a prep day for teachers. And at that point, we had no definitive date scheduled for going online. That very afternoon, our state governor made the announcement that all schools were closed. So we went live online March 17th.
Wow. That was fast.
It was fast.
Now, were you guys doing any kind of online learning already at the school, or was this completely flying blind and something new for everybody?
Well, so that's a yes and a no question. We have dual enrollment. So there are select Lord Fairfax classes that are all online. And you have that, but recently several of us teachers have gone back to school. Two of us for our master's degree, one for her doctorate, that are used to total online schooling. And one of those teachers whose forte really is technology, she stepped up and started teaching everybody.
So the teachers had to get a lesson.
Some of us did, yes.
Well, and that was going to be one of my questions for you, because I know that you recently completed your master's program, and most of that was, if not all of it, was done online. Do you think that helped you kind of be prepared for now turning the tables and being the teacher and working with students in an online way?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Because a lot of what my professors did, I have now taken to the classroom, because I teach 10th through 12th grade. So therefore, I can prep them for college, basically.
And I know you're not teaching a standardized class. So you're not like an English teacher or a math teacher. You kind of have a special designation for what you're teaching. Tell me about your students.
Okay, so I actually wear two different hats at the school. I do teach history for 10th through 12th grade, but I am also an EF coach, executive functions coach, and I am an NILD therapist. So So therefore, my 10th through 12th grade history students are very much doing like a college class. We meet 2 to 3 times a week live. We don't have a lesson per se, but they'll bring their questions to me about my lessons for that week because I've been recording them all. We have discussion boards. We have, other websites that have made themselves free to us so that we can play review games and do that sort of thing live.
You mentioned to me before we actually started the recording for the radio show today, because I had told you when I scheduled this that Nathan was going to be my guest from the Clark County Historical Association in the second segment of today's show. He and I actually recorded that show yesterday afternoon. It's going to play in the next segment, but you're using something he's about to tell us about in one of your history classes.
So yes, my 10th grade world history students are currently studying the Cold War. And Nathan recorded a video of the bunkers in Clark County that were built for the Cold War in case there was a nuclear attack. And I'm actually using one of those this week, or using that one this week, as part of my lesson in our world history class. Because right now we're learning all about the nuclear arms race and the Cuban Missile Crisis. So that fits perfectly in that category.
So do you think that that's kind of a silver lining a little bit to this cloud, is that it really does give you more opportunities and reasons to kind of think outside the box when you're putting together a lesson plan or trying to make sure that you're keeping all of your students engaged? Because that's got to be a lot harder now that they're not sitting in a classroom looking right at you.
Well, and I feel like that's probably where I have been blessed, because I am the EF coach, the executive functions coach. I know just how different each student's learning style is. And I can kind of cater towards that. Once you learn how your kids learn, once you learn how your kids' metacognition is, which is how they think, it's much easier to know what to do. For instance, my 11th and 12th graders think much differently than my 10th graders do. And I've had to cater my lesson styles differently for those classes.
I think it would be a much more effective way of teaching too, because they're going to get so much more out of it. And you're going to feel like, wow, I've really done my job in the best way that I can, because you're able to do individualized things for a group.
That's right. We are. And that is one of the many blessings about our school. I've been able to do things because I know my students. Other teachers have been able to do things because we know our students. And if a student isn't quite grasping something, we're willing to step outside the box and maybe meet them, after school at 3:30 on Google Meet or Zoom or whatever, and to help them get through that challenge.
So I'm going to switch gears for a minute, because we've only got a couple of minutes left, and have you put your mom hat back on. Although I know, much like me, the mom hat never really comes off. So you've got 3 kids at home. And again, not counting Lonnie.
Yes.
How old? Because Mason is a teenager. Bless your heart.
Well, he will be, in 10 days, he will be 17.
Ugh.
And he's actually working almost full time now because he's an essential employee. Evan is almost 12 in 6th grade. And Levi is 7 in 1st grade.
So how has it been for you, A, as a mom, trying to make sure they're still doing their homework and at the same time trying to be the teacher to other students? And I assume everybody has their own device. So you guys aren't like running into a particular room and screaming and fighting over who's going to get the screen first.
No, we're not. So when we thought it was just this first initial week, I did not get a device for Levi. He's first grade. They sent a packet home. You know, he doesn't need anything. Mason has his own computer. And then I'm like, Evan, I'll just bring my school computer home. You can use my computer. It worked out beautifully. When we found out that it was going to be long-term, I had to go to the school and get a Chromebook for Levi because his teacher was going to start doing live sessions. But the only problem I have found as a mom for that is when we all have live sessions at one time, our internet seems to glitch.
Well, and they're all 3 students at Front Royal Christian School as well. So that's got to make it a little bit easier for you because at least you've got everybody together and you don't have 3 different schools at 3 different levels plus your school.
Right. Our internet went down the other night and I just simply sent out a group text to all the high school teachers because Mason was the only one trying to submit something. Like, we're having internet issues. Please give grace.
Well, and I will tell you, Lonnie was telling me at the station one day last week that he feels like he's kind of living in a minefield because he could just be walking through the house to go from one room to another or get a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. And the boys are walking around doing their classes, holding their devices and recording everything in their path. And all of a sudden he's in somebody's class because he's walked through behind them.
Right. Right. And I've tried to set it up where we've each got our own space because let's face it, first graders are loud.
Yes.
And I'm coming to find out Evan has 18 in his class. There also can be loud. So I've tried to set everybody up to have their own space. And the only one that really needs help is Levi. Mason and Evan, I've had to help very little. But once Lonnie leaves for the day, then I'm juggling Levi and I. But he usually finishes up not long after lunch.
So is dinner time still normal? I mean, does everybody kind of come back to the table at dinner time and talk about their days, even though most of you have all been in the house together anyway? I mean, how does that work?
Well, it is nice that, I'm home fixing dinner, but Mason, like I said, is working. So we mostly hear about his day, and Lonnie will, share parts of his day with us and that sort of thing. For the most part, the other 3 of us have already shared our days with each other. And they want to talk about what we saw on our afternoon walk or what they discovered in the yard. Or the other day, Levi found a tick on him. He had to share all about that, even though it was really nothing.
Even the little things become big things now.
Right. Right.
So before we wrap up, if somebody is listening and they are interested in potentially enrolling their student even at Front Royal Christian School, how would people get in touch with the school itself?
So our wonderful front office manager, Bren Herndon, Miss Herndon, is still taking messages and checking her email. Our phone number is 635-6799. Or you can go to our website and even fill out the application there. That's frontroyalchristianschool.com. And they will be in touch with you very shortly.
Awesome. Well, Carrie, thank you for taking some time out on a Sunday afternoon to record today's show. And I am highly impressed that I didn't see any kids wandering in and around behind you. I fully expected Levi to pop in before we were done and scream Toodles Noodles to me, because I say that to him every day that he's at the station and I'm leaving. So we have this Toodles Noodles thing that we do back and forth.
Well, thank God it's a beautiful day and they're outside. Well, and Mason's at work.
But thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
We are going to wrap up. We are going to wrap up today's episode. We have been chatting with Carrie Hill. She is a teacher at Front Royal Christian School and Lonnie's wife, mother of 3, and is juggling all of those things here in the middle of this health crisis. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I mentioned a few minutes ago, Nathan Stalvey is going to be in the next segment. He is the executive director at the Clark County Historical Association. I recorded that conversation with him via Zoom on Saturday afternoon, and we're actually going to talk about the Cold War bunker stuff that Carrie mentioned just a few minutes ago. So hang in there. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Ta-da! So, and here's the other thing that I've been doing. I got this bright idea yesterday. So I've been saving, because obviously I'm saving the audio to be able to use for the on-air portion, but I've been saving the Zoom videos and putting them up on YouTube on the Valley Today playlist. So then people that if they don't want to listen on the radio, they can go and watch us have the conversations, and I've been calling them uncut, because as long as we're not talking about anything that shouldn't be for public knowledge, they can hear the prep before we turn on, and like now, hey, this is what we're doing, and
oh wow,
all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was one of those brilliant ideas that came to me after like my 3rd pot of coffee yesterday.
Well, it's funny because I had asked Lonnie last night, I'm like, so if I'm outside working and then come in, is it going to matter how I look for this Zoom?
Nope. I won't even tell you that I am in my pajama bottoms and a sweatshirt that is Tim's that has a camo buck horns on it. So,
well, as it ended up, I ended up having to run in to town and pick up a grocery order.
So you had to get presentable anyway.
Exactly. Right.
Well, thank you. I really do appreciate you taking the time to do this. So now I have a whole show ready to go for Monday. That's always nice.
Let me see. This comes on at 12 tomorrow?
Yes. Can you incorporate it in lesson plan and make the kids have to watch it as part of their...
Actually, at 12 o'clock tomorrow, I am free. Tomorrow's a strange day for me. We're still going on our chapel schedule because we have Monday morning chapel.
Okay.
And they're doing chapel via Zoom.
Nice.
Yeah. So my whole day is pushed back. So my second period doesn't actually happen until the time we normally have third period and so on. So 12 o'clock is actually my lunch tomorrow.
Yay. So you'll get to hear yourself and Nathan.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Carrie. I really do appreciate it. Tell Lonnie I said hi. And just because I'm pre-recorded doesn't mean I might not pop into the station tomorrow and annoy him anyway.
Please do, because I think he's lonely sometimes.
I know. I walked in there on Friday. I didn't have to go in on Friday at all, but it's one of those things where I was telling Kathy, I said, on any day 6 months ago that I was pre-recorded, I was so excited that I would not have to leave my house. That it was, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I have a work from home day. And now that I'm not supposed to be leaving, I get up and go to the station even when I'm pre-recorded just because I don't want to sit here because they're trying to tell me I can't.
Well, I've always thought someday I'm going to retire and, be home and do the gardening and all this stuff. And now I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to do that or not.
Yeah, I could do that for a couple hours, but then what am I going to do?
A day or two a week might be fine, but not all the time.
All right, my dear, will you go back to your outdoor work? I'm going to go out here and check and see what kind of damage Tim has done without my close supervision in the last half an hour. And I will check in with you later in the week. But thank you. I really do appreciate this today.
Thank you. And I appreciate this. Have a great weekend. What's left of it anyway.
Yeah, you too, dear.
Bye.
Bye.